evening. We're glad you're with us for another edition of the Daily O. I'm Brody Myers. Let's get into our show. Nearly a year into the COVID-19 pandemic, many industries are still facing challenges. One in particular is the music industry. Local artists in particular have had to pause. We have more on that story for you now.
In March, live music venues across the country were forced to close their doors because of the COVID-19 pandemic, leaving many industry professionals without jobs and an entire industry on the ropes. Now, over half a year later, venues are still closed, and performers are feeling the effects.
Artists are not on tour right now because if there's one way to get sick, it's to put 12 people on a very small bus and ship them city to city in dingy hotel rooms.
There are certainly concerns that come with hosting live events during the COVID-19 pandemic. Jacob Reinhart, the frontman for local rock band Ben Quad, says his band isn't playing shows right now, but there are artists that rely on being able to play shows as a source of income.
But I think if somebody is genuinely invested financially into art and they figure out a safe way to do that, that's on them, and that's something that they can do as long as they're doing it safely.
According to the National Independent Venue Association, live events account for about 75% of artist income, the rest being brought in from merch sales and streams and other revenue sources. So what does this mean for artists who are financially dependent on live events? Sean Reedy, a local rapper and songwriter, says it has been tough since the shutdown began.
I mean, it's affected me in every way you could probably think of, honestly, financially, mentally, physically. Like, I just feel like a completely different person.
Despite having not performed in over 7 months, Reedy thinks it's time for artists to figure out a way to make a safe return to the stage.
I think it's super possible and super important to adapt and try to do things the best way we can to, like I said, support these venues and artists that I think are really important and that do a lot for the community.
In order to do that, certain accommodations must be made to create an environment that is safe for the audience. Reedy says that his number one priority is safety and that he is not afraid to enforce the rules.
Well, we're going to do every single thing we can to make sure that people are socially distanced and people are wearing masks, and do not come if you're sick. I'm not going to feel awkward to tell someone, yo, put on your mask or leave.
Artists like Reedy rely on smaller venues and restaurants or bars to provide spaces for them to perform in. After all, it is easier to enforce social distancing rules and mask mandates in these types of spaces. But Reedy thinks that in the future, it could be possible to bring live music back to larger audiences.
I understand, like, venues are a building designed to come sweat on each other. Like, I understand that is the purpose, but like we can recontextualize these things and make it just as safe or safer than any other place that's already open right now.
With so much instability surrounding the future of the live music industry, one thing is certain. Artists need to get back on stage, for their livelihood as performers, for the sake of the businesses they help to support, and the communities that are built around art and performance.
To save our venues, to save our independent artists, and like, if we don't do something now, then all it's going to ever be is Chesapeake Arena and Ariana Grande. You know what I mean? Like,
All right, thank you for that. As more local restaurants and bars open up, artists are hopeful that the music scene will go back to normal sometime soon. My uncle included, who does a live music act from time to time. February is the start of Black History Month, and OSU is offering a variety of events all month long for the occasion. Starting on Monday, the 1st of February, Edmond Lowe Library is hosting a digital exhibit through the end of the month in collaboration with the Office of Multicultural Affairs. It highlights Black history in Oklahoma. More information can be found at library.okstate.edu. Also on the 1st, the Office of Multicultural Affairs and the Center for Americana Studies is hosting a speaker series. The first talk is titled Reflections of the Life of Nancy Randolph Davis, Lessons Learned. The talk will be live streamed on O State TV at noon on Monday. And finally, the College of Education and Human Sciences is holding Carrying on the Torch, an event honoring civil rights pioneer Nancy Randolph Davis. They'll virtually hold a candle lighting event at 5:30 on the OK State EHS Facebook page. That, again, on February 1st. Today, January 27th, is Holocaust Remembrance Day. As the world acknowledges the horrors of the past, one survivor sees disturbing evidence that hatred from the past is once again with us here and now. Here's the story.
Born in Berlin in 1930, Irene Butter grew up as a Jewish girl in Nazi-occupied Europe, forced to endure the horrors of the Holocaust.
Hitler came to power when I was 3 years old, and gradually the persecution of the Jews developed.
In 1937, Butter's family fled to the Netherlands, but a German invasion in 1940 left them under Nazi oppression once again. First, they were sent to a transit camp, and then to the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, where Butter knew Anne Frank before she died there. Butter nearly suffered the same tragic fate.
After 1 year of horrible conditions, my family barely survived. Not giving up hope was a very critical thing, to hope that the war will end, that I will survive.
Soon after, Butter's beloved father died on their train to freedom. Her mother and brother were hospitalized, and 14-year-old Butter was sent to France, then Algiers, and finally the United States.
I was separated from my mother and my brother for 18 months before we were reunited in New York to start a new life.
In the U.S., Butter earned her doctorate, became a professor, and started a family, now with grandchildren bearing witness to her legacy.
I actually heard about her story at a very, very young age, and I remember being terrified. I feel very, very fortunate to have a grandmother that is so strong, that has survived something like this, and I've learned so much from her.
Telling others about her ordeal was not always easy for Butter. It took 4 decades before she could relive what she had endured in the Holocaust.
What allowed you, or what prompted you to take on a more public role in discussing what you went through?
Well, I would say one of the main influences was Elie Wiesel. I once heard him speak on the radio, and he said, if you were in the camps, if you smelled the air and heard the silence of the dead, then it's your duty to be a witness and to tell the story.
Since finding her voice, Butter has told her story around the world, with a focus on speaking in schools.
The responses I receive from students to my story who put themselves in my shoes and try to relate their own lives to it, that is what gives me hope.
What do you want the younger generation, Shireen and Shireen's friends, to take away from the horrors that you went through?
Well, I think we learned something. There are, again, echoes of the Holocaust. And on January 6th, we saw it in our own country when there was an attempted coup and rioting in Washington, D.C., and some of the rioters wore Nazi symbols and used Nazi slogans. So it's right back here. And I think we learned from it. I think we learned that democracy is vulnerable and we cannot take anything for granted. But it is up to us, to the people, to preserve and protect our democratic institutions and our Constitution.
Still, Butter has faith in humanity, despite all the atrocities she has faced.
There's good in every person. We're all made of the same fabric, regardless of nationality, ethnicity, religion. I think that our humanity overrides all these differences.
Clarissa Ward, CNN.
Thank you for that, Clarissa. Next, we'll take a quick commercial break and come right back. All right, our weather extraordinaire, Josh Weisel, has the weather for you. Spoiler, it's cold. For the Daily O, I'm Brody Myers.
And welcome back, folks. I'm Joshua Weisel here in my own makeshift Ocala Storm Studios. We're going to be taking a look at the forecast with freezing temperatures tonight, storm chances returning on Saturday, as well as a look at the extended forecast into early next week. So stick around for that coming up right now. So we're going to start with those evening and tonight conditions across the area. We've seen some cooler temperatures today, currently around 36 the time of airing this broadcast, and we're going to start to see those temperatures dip into the 20s tonight across the Stillwater area with a low of 20 as we head later into the evening and into early tomorrow morning. So if you're already not bundled up, make sure that you bundle up, grab a jacket. If you have any outdoor plans, make sure that you're bundled up as well. It's going to be very cold tonight as we see those lows in the 20s, and it's just going to get colder as the night goes on. And make sure that you bundle up before you head up for class tomorrow morning. So tomorrow afternoon, we're going to see partly cloudy to partly sunny skies tomorrow with cool temperatures, a high of 47 around Stillwater, winds out of the south-southwest across the area. And here's a look at that 7-day forecast. We're going to see some pleasant days as we head into next week. As you can see, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, those temperatures will start to warm back up into the mid-50s to 60s. But before that, we're going to see some rain chances late Friday afternoon, Friday evening, and through Saturday as another Pacific cold front pushes through. That's why we'll see these temperatures around 64, and then they'll dip into the 50s on Sunday with 30 for a low Sunday night into early Monday. Again, rain chances will be around 70%, so a lot of us is going to see this rain activity as of now. That's our thinking, so make sure that you have an umbrella around Saturday if you have any plans. Other than that, we're going to start next week off with pleasant conditions, highs in the 50s and 60s, and mostly sunny to partly sunny skies across the Stillwater area. Thank you guys for tuning in to this weather broadcast. Now stick around for sports coming up right after this.
Hi everybody, my name is Emily Shooping. I'm your marketing coordinator for the Made in Oklahoma Coalition. I'm coming to you with an amazing opportunity. We are teaming up with the Ocala Media Group at Oklahoma State University. We want to tell your story on the following platforms: streaming, newspaper, and digital. This opportunity will not only allow your story to be told locally, but nationally as well. I am so excited for each of you to join in on this tremendous opportunity. This will not only be good for your business, but it will be good for our great state of Oklahoma. You can be expecting an email from me soon with more details about this opportunity. Local has a name, local has a face, local has a flavor. The Made in Oklahoma Coalition.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Daily O. I'm Connor Bergen, and let's get into sports. The Oklahoma State men and women's basketball teams were busy Monday night when both teams were on the road. It was a good night for everybody involved, with the men's team handing Iowa State a 21-point loss without Cade Cunningham, and the women's beating Kansas State 69-55 behind Natasha Mack's double-double, which saw her score 14 points and pull in 19 rebounds. The women have a quick turnaround as the Cowgirls return to Gallagher-Iba tonight at 6:30 and welcome in Big 12 rivals Texas. Make sure to tune in to that one after the show. As for the men, they will be hoping Cade Cunningham is ready when they return to Stillwater and host Arkansas for an SEC versus Big 12 matchup Saturday. For the past couple of months, voters have been casting their votes for the Baseball Hall of Fame class of 2021. The ballots were finally tallied up and the class was announced yesterday.
2013, and the 9th time since voting began in 1936, no candidate reached the necessary 75% threshold for election. Kurt Schilling led the group with votes on 71.1% of ballots cast, finishing just 16 votes short of election.
It has been a long time since this has happened in baseball. Nobody has been selected. Curt Schilling was favored to be in this year after gaining 70% of the vote last year. But the controversial pitcher talked his way off many people's ballots with his comments on the incident at the Capitol a few weeks ago. Others near the 75% cutoff were Barry Bonds. Many voters have been reluctant to give the all-time home run leader a vote due to his longtime history with steroids, which many believe is the reason he was able to break the home run record. Roger Clemens is in the same boat with his rocky history on and off the field. It won't get any easier for these candidates, as next year's ballot will have plenty of former stars due for their shot at the Hall of Fame, with the likes of Alex Rodriguez, David Ortiz, Mark Teixeira, Jimmy Rollins, and many others due up for the first time in 2022. Basketball is a sport for all, and two cousins are proving that the game can accept anyone, no matter where they come from.
Riker Hinderer loves basketball. He's been watching the sport his entire life. When his dad coached girls basketball at Bismarck High, Riker was by his side. Now it's Riker's turn to be on the court.
Dunk.
Can you slam dunk?
Yes.
And by his side, his cousin, Jamison Lee. Jamison almost didn't go out for basketball.
I wasn't too sure about it.
He finally decided to give it a shot, but only if he could be on Riker's team.
He's just been watching a lot of basketball, hasn't really been playing it that much, so I wanted him to have that experience, and I thought I could help him out.
The two are best buds, on and off the court. Jamison is always watching out for Riker, protecting him and helping him.
He just needs a little bit of guidance so he knows what he's doing.
Their first game of the season, Riker finally got to show off his moves. His biggest fan? His cousin.
Played about as much as I did.
The Horizon Huskies came away with a win. For these cousins, it's about more than just the final score. It's about sharing the experience and teaching others to be kind.
He's different, but we accept him for who he is.
Their cousin bond does not go unnoticed.
He cares so much about him. It's genuine, and and that's something cool to see.
And that's something their coach hopes inspires others to be more accepting. In Bismarck, I'm Jody Kurzman, reporting for your news leader.
What a story. Let's hope we see more things like this coming from the game. Yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the death of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna. They died when the helicopter they were traveling in crashed into that Calabasas hillside in the early hours of January 26, 2020. People across the world are honoring his legacy as of yesterday.
1 year since Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna passed away, but you can see the Mamba mentality lives on as strong as ever. Whenever Jojo Tiarina finds himself struggling during a workout, he looks up at the mural of Kobe Bryant outside Hardcore Fitness downtown.
It's kind of an inspiration just because he never gave up. He was always pushing himself 110% and always inspiring others to never give up.
Gym owner Cecilia Moran says she had turned down artists who asked to paint her walls before, and she was hesitant even after Kobe died.
I never want to offend, the families and fans. This is such a big thing, and he's such an icon for all of us. So his memory has to remember in the right way.
Moran was convinced when artist Louis Palcino, also known as Slow Motions, decided to picture Kobe with his beloved daughter Gigi.
It really reminds my relationship with my dad, because he also passed away from one day to another, something that we're not expected.
Gym members did not expect that shortly after the mural was completed, they'd be exercising next to it, forced outside because of the pandemic. They say the last year has been tough in so many ways, and having Kobe to look to for inspiration helps.
He would think, you guys got this, keep going, keep pushing, don't stop no matter what.
After all, that's what the Mamba mentality is all about.
We cannot quit, we cannot give up. We have to keep going.
This isn't the only mural meant to inspire fans. At last count, there were more than 400 around the world. They've all been cataloged online at Kobe Mural. We've got a link on CBSLA.com. In downtown Los Angeles, Tina Patel, CBS 2 News.
Awesome stuff to honor a legend in basketball and in life. Here in Stillwater, January 27th is a day that brings up many memories. 20 years ago, 10 members of the basketball program died in a plane crash in Colorado. Here is their story.
On February 23, 2002, Oklahoma State University dedicated a memorial to the 10 men who lost their lives in the January 27, 2001 OSU plane crash. The devastating crash took place in a field near Strattsburg, Colorado, killing both pilots, 2 players, and 6 of the university's associates. The memorial, located in the southwest lobby of Gallagher-Iba Arena, includes a granite wall with dedications to each of the victims, as well as inscriptions chosen by their families. Featured in the center is a bronze statue of a cowboy kneeling with his memories, titled "We Will Remember," created by Oklahoma native Harold Holden. Holden's masterpiece creates a symbol of the school's loss and loyalty to continually remember the 10 men who were taken too soon on January 27, 2001. Remember the 10 is a phrase that resonates with many at Oklahoma State University. And the memorial acts as an integral part of the university's promise to always remember the victims and remember the 10.
Remember the 10. That will do it for sports tonight. That's all for our show today. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to keep up with us on Instagram at @TheDailyO_TV. You can also watch our show at @TheDailyO_TV as well. You can also watch our show on Amazon Fire Stick, Roku, Apple TV, and on Suddenlink Channel 112. Have a great night, and we'll see you back here on Friday. From The Daily O, I'm Connor Bergen.
Hi, I'm Will Joyce, the Mayor of Stillwater. As Mayor, it's my responsibility to help develop plans for a variety of resident needs, including roads, emergency services, and utilities. Some of those services are paid for with federal money that the government distributes to states and communities based on Census Bureau data. This is your tax money coming back to our community, but if you or your household aren't counted, we lose nearly $1,200 per person to places like Texas, Kansas, and Arkansas. So help bring that money back to local communities by filling out the 2020 census. This year, it's easy to do. You'll receive a postcard in March 2020 with a unique code for your address. Using that code, simply go online, call, or request a paper copy of the census and fill it out. I want to make sure that you and your whole household are counted in the 2020 census. It's important not just to Stillwater, but to all of Payne County.